What's going on YouTube? So there are now over a dozen mainstream compact SUVs in the US market. So there are bound to be some options that are often looked over, such as this Mitsubishi Outlander. But Mitsubishi is ready to jog your memory with a pretty big refresh of this popular model for 2025. So with even more tech, luxury, and style this year, should this be elevated above the RAV4 and CR-V on your shopping list? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's get started under the hood. So for 2025, the powertrain does remain the same. It's a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine, making 181 horsepower. That's paired to a continuously variable transmission. You have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and with all-wheel drive, our combined fuel economy is 26 mpg. Now, the starting price this year rises just a little bit, but it's still under $30,000. And if you want to get the best price from local dealerships and access to invoice pricing information, make sure you go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, of course, we're going to show you how this powertrain performs out on the road later on in this review and talk about the improvements Mitsubishi has made for 2025. We're going to get things like our sound level reading as well so that we can compare it to all the rivals in this large segment of vehicle. But let's go ahead and now close up the hood so we can get into the exterior and interior updates first. Now, when you walk up to this updated Outlander, you might not immediately notice the changes that they made to the front end design, but they have done some little tweaks just here and there just to kind of add to the overall style of this model. Now, there continues to be a lot of different trim levels you can get. What you're looking at is your top model. This is the SEL Premium for now, but there is also going to be an upcoming Platinum later on. Now, the grille itself previously was actually connected to the hood, and this whole thing kind of opened up. Now this is going to be more conventional with the grille completely separated from the hood. The overall design looks pretty similar, mostly gloss black with the nice chrome strips that run through the middle of it. We also have blacked out Outlander branding that goes all the way across the hood. And then you got this big piece that goes all through here, kind of surrounding our headlight unit. Now, speaking of the headlights, as we move into this area, you'll notice some changes here as well. The actual unit is going to be a reflector LED that's standard on all models. And then up top here, we've got a revised look to this. This is your daytime running light and your turn signal indicator. It's now got a smoked finish and kind of this crystal design going on. And then one of the things I really like about the Outlander is the fact that they're giving you fog lights on all but the base model. That's increasingly becoming rare in this segment. A lot of brands are just eliminating fog lights altogether. Now, moving on to our wheels, these have also seen some updates for 2025. You have selections of 18 or 20-inch alloys. This is our new 20-inch contrast alloy. I really like the way these look. They really stand out a lot and just pop a lot against this beautiful pearly white paint that this model has. We also don't have much cladding on this vehicle either, just a little thin surround around these wheel arches, which does remind me to mention there's an upcoming trim called the Trail Edition, and that one's going to look a little bit tougher and add a little bit more capability as well. Now, as we move up here to our mirrors, blind spot monitoring is standard on all models. I'm surprised to say that power folding and heating are standard on all but the base model as well. Now, moving on to the side, the overall length of this is 185.8 inches long, which is a couple inches longer than the Nissan Rogue, which this actually shares a foundation with. Now, in terms of the design elements, they're going to continue on with the two-tone roof for your upper-end models. This cost about $1,000 extra, but I do think it really makes the overall design pop. And then, speaking of design, as we move to the back, you're going to notice some additional upgrades for 2025. Nothing too dramatic, but again, just those small refinements. Starting at the top here, we have the optional enlarged spoiler, part of the launch package. You've got your wiper exposed out here. And then the taillights have also been upgraded. Now all the elements are fully LED, and we have an amber turn signal, which is really quite nice. New smoked finish on board as well. And then as we move to the lower part here, you got a little bit of gray accenting and gloss black. Of course, the exhaust pipes are going to be hidden behind there. And in terms of your tow rating, the maximum is going to be 2,000 pounds. Now, in terms of safety, most of your trim levels will have every single active safety feature as standard equipment. I say most of the trim levels because, for whatever reason, they remove adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist from just the base trim level. Nevertheless, as exciting as the exterior changes are, definitely what you want to see are the interior updates and the luxury features. So let's go ahead and get into that.
If you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, so getting into the cabin, we'll first look at the key fob. This is just your typical Mitsubishi key fob. You do have a smart entry system on all but the base model, and you can remote start via their app. And then to get inside the vehicle itself, no sensor behind the handle, so you just press that black button there. That will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward at the same time. But checking out this interior, I think a lot of people who especially haven't been in an Outlander in a long time are going to be really quite surprised at just how much luxury is inside of this cabin. And that really begins with our seats. So what they've done is kind of stepped you up as you go through the trims. Each one gets a different seat material, and that's all going to climax at this model, which is the top-end semi-aniline leather seats. It's absolutely a very high-end leather, especially for this segment of vehicle, and they've done a great job with the stitching details. You have that quilted design running all throughout, really soft and supple. It just feels fantastic, and again, it's just very, very uncommon for this class of vehicle. We have the special brown interior as well. It looks fantastic. And then down below, you are going to find a power adjusting seat on all but the base trim with two-way lumbar support. We also have memory seats located right here on the door trim. But let's go ahead and climb inside so we can look around the rest of the cabin. So getting into the rest of the cabin materials, they'll continue to be quite impressive. So you're going to have a leatherette that covers all the armrest, quilted through the center section, and then even all along the top through here. You have a little bit of faux carbon fiber and some piano black. And then as we move to the upper part of the dashboard, this is all a soft touch plastic. We have a lot of the matching leatherette to the seats going all through there, and we have more leatherette along our console for our knee to rest against. Everything does feel very solidly well put together. And let's fire it up with the push button start, which is, there we go, found it, right there. And now that everything's all fired up here, let's jump into some individual details. We'll begin with our gauge cluster. So as you can see, we've got the full digital cluster. This comes on the SEL trim level and above. It's 12.3 inches, and you can reconfigure the overall design to several different things, including that one there, which kind of maximizes your information and minimizes your speed and tachometer to the sides. Now, additionally, if you get the SEL Premium, that's going to give you a head-up display up top to look at. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we have a nice feeling leather on this wheel. It's actually pretty smooth and has perforation. Rain sensing wipers behind it as well. And it is heated on your upper trim models, manual tilt and telescoping for the steering wheel adjustment. Now, one of the things that Mitsubishi has done for 2025 is redesign this console area just to make everything function a little bit better. So let's take a look at storage. We'll open up our center console first. You'll notice that inside we have some donuts. That's because that's our logo, of course, and we put the stuffed donuts in the console to check the volume. In this case, we have 10 donuts inside, which is just short of the dozen donuts to pass the test, but still pretty good for an SUV in this segment. As we move forward of that, you have your two cup holders, and then we have a nice wireless phone charging pad, which is standard on all but the base model. Now, the shifter is a small, compact, electronic style design here. The overall look is borrowed mostly from Nissan, so you're just going to pull back for drive, and then you can bump forward for reverse. When you go into reverse, you're going to see a 360-degree camera system pop up on all but the base model. That's pretty darn cool to see that in this segment of vehicle where a lot of rivals reserve this for the very top trim only, or if you're the Honda CR-V, it's not available at all. And then, of course, just press the P on top there to go into park, and it does have front and rear parking sensors on this trim as well. Back behind that, we have all of our different drive modes with this control knob we can adjust, and then this is our electronic parking brake with our brake hold function. Continuing on from that, the next place we come to are our climate controls. You have a standard dual-zone automatic climate system on this model, and we also have the 3-zone automatic climate system on the SEL trim level and above. That's pretty uncommon for this segment, and you'll see later on that the back actually has their own controls for the temperature. Now there's the heated steering wheel I mentioned earlier, and then we have some adjustments to this area as well. So heated seats are included in all but the base model. However, what's new for 2025 is ventilated seats. So you now have that on the SEL trim level and above. Again, that's pretty uncommon for this segment of vehicle and a nice addition for 2025. Now another nice addition for 2025 is the fact that we have new Yamaha audio systems on board for every single version of this Outlander. So the base model and lower trims get the 8-speaker setup, and then your upper versions get a 12-speaker Ultimate setup. That's what we have, and let's go ahead and give this new sound system a sample. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is quite impressive. I believe this is Yamaha's first sound system they've done in a vehicle, and this is really good stuff. Definitely better than the average thing you find in this segment, and better than the Bose system that this replaced previously. Also like the metal looking speaker grills that they've done up there on the pillar and the front door trim. Now that's not all for the improved technology though, because we've got a big update to the infotainment system as well. So just like the updated version of the Nissan Rogue, we now have a 12.3-inch display. This is standard across all the trim levels, even the base model. It also has wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Previously you could not get wireless Android Auto, so as you can see, that's actually what I have pulled up right now, so that's a nice improvement for you guys that own Android phones. In terms of the software itself, this does have the latest version of basically Nissan Connect, even though, of course, they call it Mitsubishi Connect here. So you have apps that are built into the system itself. This is what your navigation system looks like as well. Up top here, we've got an auto-dimming mirror, but this is also the digital camera rear view mirror, and we have HomeLink universal remotes built into it. You have some LED lighting and a nice little spot for your sunglass holder. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade for the panoramic sunroof. The front panel of this does open up as well. Now let's move to the back seats, which are of course very important for the rest of your family. And inside you're going to find quite a bit of space. So the legroom measure is going to be 39.9 inches, and then you have about 39 inches of headroom as well. Those are both pretty class competitive figures. They're a little larger than what you'd get out of a RAV4, but they're going to trail the Space King Honda CR-V by just a bit. Now, I did bring along today the official Car Confections ruler, which means that we can go ahead and get a measurement of just how much space we have between my seating position at 5'8" and back here, looking at 8.5 inches. So again, pretty competitive in terms of that, and then lots of space for my feet to kick around. The floor is pretty flat, just a little bump right through there. And then let's look around at some features. I already mentioned that you have rear climate controls. You have vents, of course, as well. And then you can adjust right through there. We also have heated back seats, which is quite nice on the SEL trim level and above. And that's also the version that's going to get you the, oops, dropped it. Goodness, rear window sunshades. Now if you pull this right here, you can fold down our center seat, which will reveal our cup holders inside of there. Now as far as the seats themselves, they do slide forward and back a pretty good amount, and it also can recline to get you maximum comfort here in the second row. But I can't believe I'm saying this, there's actually a third row of seats. So let's go ahead and check those out. Now normally when we do the third row test, we kind of keep these seats in the second row slid all the way back in their travel. However, to get basically any legroom whatsoever, you do need to slide this second row up to about as close as you can and still accommodate some decent space before you get to that front row. Now if I just grab that, tilt that out of the way and slide it, I have a little bit of an entry point, so we'll see if I can climb in. It's probably not going to be graceful. All right, there we go. All right, I did make it in. And yeah, like I was saying, with these seats actually slid up quite a bit, at least a couple inches, that provides me with effectively, I don't know, 1 inch of legroom. My feet are basically wedged underneath of the seat in front of me, so it's a little bit, confining, definitely for an adult. But this is designed, of course, for kids. So it's really kind of an emergency situation if you have those extra bodies that you just need to transport for a short distance. This would serve that purpose, although anybody that is an adult or taller than probably like 4 foot something is going to be quite uncomfortable. You're not going to have any thigh support or anything like that. You do have an armrest though, so I like that, and you have a headrest here, but my head is actually grazing the ceiling. So overall, in terms of third row, I didn't expect this to be comfortable, but it definitely is not comfortable, and our rating for this would be bad kids only, maybe even the worst kids. This could possibly be used as a punishment if you want to use that. All right, now let's check out the cargo area. Of course, we've got the power tailgate on this model, and looking inside this cargo area, you're gonna notice, honestly, more space than I thought behind this third row seat. It's actually going to be about 11 cubic feet, just under 11 cubic feet. And then if you fold those seats down, we're looking at about 30 cubic feet, and then that expands to a maximum of 64.5 cubic feet with the second row folded as well. That's going to be a little bit smaller actually than what it was previously in 2024 model year. I'm not sure exactly what they've done. Some packaging changes, also the new audio system, a subwoofer, something like that could be taking up some of the space, but nevertheless, it's still a very competitive amount of space for the segment. Now I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through the process of folding down these seats so that we can take a look at what everything is like when the seats are folded. Now that I've got the third row down, I can point out that we've got handles here which fold the second row, and that's a little bit too close to the front row, so I'll have to slide that out of the way so that we can get a flat loading floor. And by the way, if you want to compare this to all of the competition, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We have things such as the cargo capacity. We also have things like technology, power, fuel economy, all the things you might care about when you're shopping for a compact crossover. We have it available in a nice chart so you can actually sort by what's most important to you. But getting back to the Outlander, it's time to get the cargo measurements. So I'll extend the tape measure out to my 5/8 driving position and go to the back here. We're looking at 73.5 inches. Behind the second row, 42 inches. Should we even get behind the third row? It would be about 13 inches. Cargo opening, 42 inches. Cargo height, 31 inches. And then we've been trying to get this measure here recently as well, just kind of how high the lift up height is. Looks like about 31 inches again. Now, you do have a little bit more storage under there. You saw me store the headrest for the third row of seats. No spare tire, though, because of that third row and the overall packaging. All right, so we're heading out on the road with this updated Mitsubishi Outlander. Next to me, you'll notice Josh. If you're new to the channel and haven't met him yet, he's our third team member, and he's filling in for Mason today, who's taking a day off to spend with his wife. Oh, how cute. Now, in this test drive, we're going to be doing all the usual assortment of things, including getting our signature sound level reading, but we'll kick things off here with a hard acceleration. Alright, and that takes us to 60 miles per hour. So like we mentioned at the spec dump, this powertrain setup is not changed for 2025. It continues to be a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine with 181 horsepower, and the exact torque is escaping me right now, but I believe it's very similar to the horsepower. It's like 183, right?
It would actually also be 181.
181, okay. Look.
Both the same.
Easy, I should have remembered that. Now overall, in terms of how that compares to the competition, that's going to be down a little bit from most of the rivals at this point. Typically, this segment is now pushing up to about 200 or maybe a little higher as like the standard engine option. So you'll notice that the acceleration is a little slower than some of the competition. That being said, if you're not, speed focused, and I think most buyers in this segment are not, you may not care at all that this is a little bit slower than something like a RAV4.
Yeah, you can definitely tell it's a little lethargic when it comes to this larger package. It is one of the biggest offerings in this segment, so I'd love to see a little bit more power. But if you do want to have more power, Mitsubishi still offers the plug-in hybrid powertrain variant. But the only catch about that is that for 2025, the PHEV remains unchanged. So all of these updates we've shown off today, it will not get these until next year most likely, as long as they continue producing it. But that is a really great, efficient powertrain option that is still pretty rare in this segment. I know Kia and Hyundai still offer some, but they're not very widely offered. All
right, no one's behind me, so we can do another acceleration here in the tarmac mode.
Not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Now, the other thing to talk about, of course, is the transmission. This is a continuously variable transmission, but it does have shift simulation, as you just saw and heard. Overall, I'd say this is pretty realistic in terms of the simulation. A lot of people may not even notice that it's not a traditional stepped automatic. And when you put your foot down, not much lag at all. It's definitely very responsive for a continuously variable transmission. Again, this is, as we mentioned earlier, using a lot of stuff from the Nissan Rogue and the Nissan family, so their latest generation of continuously variable transmissions are really a lot better than what they used to be. They're very responsive, and from what we hear, a lot more reliable as well.
Yeah, I like how you'll notice in the rest of the test drive when we do more casual accelerations, it still gives you those simulations to give you a more realistic driving dynamic, and I really appreciate that as compared to some other brands, maybe like Toyota. Now, front-wheel drive will be standard on most variants of the Outlander, but once you climb up the ladder, all-wheel drive will become standard, and you will also, once again, have more capability out of that Trail Edition model coming later on this year.
Now, as we move into more of the highway situation for our test drive, I want to talk about a couple things. So first of all, as I kind of accelerate more gently, you'll notice that the sound of the engine kind of falls nicely into the background. That's one of the things that Mitsubishi said they improved, is just the overall NVH of the vehicle itself. I think it particularly does apply to the engine. Since, as I said earlier, it's unchanged, but even when I'm accelerating hard, I don't hear it as much as I did in the previous model year. So I think that's definitely a very good change. And we'll go ahead and get up to 55 miles an hour so we can get you your sound level reading and compare it to the competition.
All right, we're on fan speed 1. Very nice. 54 decibels is what we were settling in at. As Drew said, they've made improvements to it, and surely enough, that is quite improved and very quiet for the segment. But I don't have to sit here and guess. I'll go to carconfections.com/sound level readings to compare it against all of its competition. And sure enough, that is much quieter than the 2024 model we tested, only to be beaten out by its more efficient and even quieter plug-in hybrid variant.
It's nice when science proves what the automaker was claiming.
Exactly.
Now, I also want to talk about ride quality as well. The road's a bit bumpy through here, so it's a good time to go ahead and discuss that. It's very comfortable overall. This vehicle was always one that we thought was quite comfortable. Most things in this segment are comfortable, but we have pretty large wheels, but I'm not noticing at the same time any types of real sharp road imperfections or anything coming in to the cabin. The other thing I really like is the fact that the seats themselves are very comfortable. So any type of intrusion that does make it into the cabin, I feel like is kind of insulated out before it makes it into my bottom.
Now, throughout this test drive, we've been talking about a lot of improvements that Mitsubishi has made to this Outlander, but one thing that won't improve will be the fuel economy. For front-wheel drive models, you'll be sitting at 27 mpg combined. For all-wheel drive like this, it will be 26 mpg combined. So that is unchanged from 2024, and when it comes to a lot of the options in the segment, when you consider its cousin, the Nissan Rogue, it is going to be lower on average.
Yeah, we actually thought, I believe we predicted actually in the 2024 version or video that they would upgrade the powertrain to the 3-cylinder in the Rogue, but they actually chose not to do that. Whether that's positive or negative is up to you. Of course, that one is turbocharged and variable compression, but it does get better fuel economy for sure. Now you know what time it is. It's time for our slam dunk and airball. I'm going to start off with the slam dunk. I'm going to simply say it's the 2025 improvements. This was always a pretty strong package, and they've made these nice tweaks that I think just really enhance it and help it stand out more against all the competition.
Yeah, what we've been talking about throughout this entire video, this reminds us that this is truly an underrated option in this segment all around. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the airball goes, we really just wish this powertrain would have a little more oomph to it. An increase in the horsepower would be really appreciated, especially when a lot of its rivals are starting to do the same thing. I know like the new Tiguan has just upped its power, and a lot of them are really just giving buyers more power because that's what most people want. And finally, as far as your warranty goes, you will have Mitsubishi's very long warranty coverage, 5-year 60,000 mile basic warranty, 10-year 100,000 mile powertrain warranty, and you will also be getting 2 years and 30,000 miles of complimentary maintenance.
Now, getting into the pricing here, we're looking at an increase of about $1,000-ish for 2025. The base price remains under $30,000 though, as I said earlier. As you move through the trim structure and go up to the SCL Premium, that's about $40,000. And then there's kind of a wide variety of options that you can add. As you can see, we also have this premium package. We have a welcome package, and then we have a launch package, which is pretty steep for mostly just some blacked out emblems and things like that. If you factor in all of that, we come to a very high price of $46,000. But I take that with a grain of salt because this model is actually made to be very value focused. If you don't go all the way up to something like this, you're going to be able to get a lot more value in something like the SE or the SEL trim. Now, if you'd like to shop for one of those models or any new vehicle, then we'd welcome you to come to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, we have a tool which will connect you to local dealerships in your area to get you the best price. It'll also give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to check that out, again, that is carconfections.com/newcarquotes.
Let's start with resale value. Using Mason's economics degree, our team took the time to develop what is a good predicted resale value of this vehicle. After 5 years and 60,000 miles, this Outlander will be worth about 46.8% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 16.6%. Now that's notable that this is above your overall industry average, but is less than other brands such as Toyota and Honda.
Now we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Mitsubishi with our latest 2025 data is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes. Now, if you'd like to learn more about resale value or reliability, head on over to carconfections.com/resale value and /reliability. On there, you can find out things such as our methodology of how we get this information. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at the updated 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander. This, of course, is a very large segment with a lot of options. So hopefully we showed you guys some new things that you didn't know about this model, and maybe you now consider it in your big list of options that you can choose from. Now, if you found this to be helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you'd pay us back by going down below and clicking subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see all types of the newest cars out there, not just in this segment, but across the entire auto industry. Take care, and we'll see you next time.